We the jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. Alan hit me on my phone. He said I need.
Week 10, boys. 2025 season. Let's get into it. But before we do, as always, let's take a look back at what the commission predicted for Week 9. Last week, we had our local rain predictor versus TJ. It is a rivalry week, as these two have known each other a long time. I predicted that TJ would come out on top, mostly based on his quarterback difference. Last week, our rain predictor was short a quarterback in the Superflex spot, but he got lucky with Travion Henderson actually being able to get a real start with no other competition and did get 12 points out of him. But, 73 points out of Lamar Jackson and Sam Darnold for TJ, and it was a huge difference. Despite getting 0 points out of Kayshon Boutte, he got 20 points out of Pittman, 23 out of Devonta Adams. I mean, just looking great. Corey's team wasn't terrible. He had solid weeks. Justin Jefferson, Jameis Williams actually got him 16 points. So it wasn't a bad week total. He scored 128, so definitely below average, but didn't matter because TJ came out with 179 points. So your commission gets the win. That brings me to only 2 losses on the season, meaning I am 7-2 predicting games this year. All right, moving on to Week 10. We have Crawfish Man Cooper. He is 5-4, currently in second place, predicted for 147 points against our reigning first place team. Chad has been in first place all year. He is also our league villain, the life of the show guy. He is 7-2. You can see the difference on how close the league is. We have first place with 7-2 and second place with a 5-4 record. That's crazy because I think our Sacco's 3-5, but we have 4 teams tied for 8th to 12th or 8th to 11th. No, 7th to 11th at 4-5. So the difference between second place and 11th is 1 win. So we are tight this year for sure, outside of our league villain taking the lead all year long. However, this week, Chad is back from his adventures with mostly desperate women, and he says he is going to win the league. He's actually going to start paying attention. So he's gotten this far not paying attention. I don't know that I would change anything, Chad, but good for you. This week, though, you can pay attention all you want. You are ravaged by bye weeks. Chad has Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce all on a bye week, along with Javonte Williams. So that is a tough hill to climb. However, he's got a decent bench and was able to come pretty close. He has 144 projected points versus Cooper's 147, and that is with a kicker on bye week. So I will assume that he gets a kicker in there and actually pulls ahead in projected points. We see if Cooper changes anything up. I mean, I guess he could play Tyler Shuck. Yeah, he can, actually. He has Alec Pearson, so maybe. So we'll see. Anyway, let's work through it. All right, let's look at the quarterbacks. So for now, we have Justin Herbert playing against Pittsburgh for Cooper. Pittsburgh, despite having a very highly paid defense, is not been great against the pass. They are giving up the 5th most points to fantasy quarterbacks, so they're really just a great play. And Herbert, with no running game right now, is just throwing a ton. So I would definitely think Herbert's good for the solid 25 that's predicted, with an upside of even higher. He's got that stacked, and we'll talk about that a little later. Currently in the flex spot, Cooper has Alec Pierce, only projected for 10 points. I'm going to guess he's going to start Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck only had 13 points last week, so maybe not. I don't know. We'll go with Tyler Shuck as his flex. As Tyler Shuck gets Carolina, who, despite not having a great defense, they look like they have a good passing defense because their run defense is so poor. They actually allow the 7th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, but New Orleans can't run the ball. I mean, Alvin Kamara is just not getting done this year, so it looks like Carolina's offense is getting a little life back. That means Tyler Shuck might have to throw the ball. Whether that's good or bad, I can't tell you. But last week he did have 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I don't know why he can't replicate that and get, 15 points, something like that. So combine that with Herbert. He should have an average week at quarterback. Average is about 20 to 22 points, and he should get that out of those two guys. All right, on the other side, Patrick Mahomes on the bench, which is tough because Mahomo has been pretty fantastic this year, scoring 30, 25, 38, 28, 40, 35, 31. Only has 2 weeks under 20 points, so he's having a fantastic year. Justin Fields replaces Mahomes. That's not good. Justin Fields does have 3 30-point games, but he also has 3 games of 5 points or less. So he is a roller coaster for sure, and it doesn't seem to matter if it's a good team, a bad team. He's just kind of all over the place. And he gets Cleveland, who's a great defense. There are a lot of trades, obviously, today, but I don't know that affects their defense very much. I flip a coin. I'll call him for 20 points, but I don't know. He could have 30 or he could have 5. It does look like there might be some weather involved. Uh-oh. Is Sema getting in there? Is he casting a magic spell? Did he get with the Wizards to create some rain? There's a 60% chance. Trying to slow him down, I think. So that's Fields on his quarterback or super flex spot. He does have some bye weeks. And he doesn't have any bye weeks. He has Mahomes on bye week, but he has Kirk Cousins as a super flex, so not very good. So in his super flex currently, looks like we'll put DJ Moore there because Nico's going to be his wide receiver. So DJ Moore going up against Tyler Shuck. It's probably about even. DJ Moore does get a pretty bad Giants defense. They're rushing the passer okay, but they can't cover at all. So DJ Moore's been terrible basically all year, but last week they started throwing the ball a lot shorter, and that really benefited him. He had 4 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown was a rushing touchdown for 17 yards. So I think he's in the mix to be like a third receiver, that 11-point-ish range, a 5 for 50. You hope he gets a touchdown. Him and Shuck should be roughly even would be my guess. So it really comes down to Herbert versus Fields. So I will take Cooper to win the quarterback class. But if you tell me Fields goes off for 35, sure. Who knows? So flip a coin and see there. But I'll give the edge here to Cooper. That's right. I am giving the edge to Tyler Shuck. Okay, moving on to wide receivers. Cooper does have his stack with Keenan Allen, so going against Pittsburgh. And then he's got Pittsburgh's receiver, DK Metcalf, and Tet. Keenan's started off really hot. The last 3 weeks, he did have a 28-point game where he got 14 targets. But now everybody's healthy, and in the past 2 games, he's only gotten 5 targets. So I don't know how to predict these 3 receivers. Huge last week, as our loved ballers say. Huge had a terrible game 2 weeks ago, didn't have a single catch, and then was great last week, but that was at the expense of Keenan Allen. I don't see any way to predict this. I'm just going to kind of pencil in all of the Charger receivers for like 12 to 13 points every week, knowing that one is probably going to get 20 and one is probably going to get 5. If anybody has any better idea how to predict this trio, let me know. But I don't see any patterns, and I haven't heard anything on any podcasts. It just seems like one's going to lose out. And now they've got a great tight end to throw to in the rookie Gadsden. So, yeah, I can't tell you, but I'll pencil them in for 12. I don't see an upside outside of luck. Then we got DK Metcalf against the Chargers. The Chargers defense has given up the 6th fewest points. That's tough. So you'd think that I would say, oh man, that's going to be a tough run, but I don't know about that. Despite having a good or a bad defense, Aaron Rodgers has become just a touchdown throwing machine, which he's kind of always been. But he always targets one guy, and in this case, that's been DK. So I think DK, despite only having a 13-point projection, I know last week he only had 2, and 2 weeks he only had 8, but he has had 19, 16, 23. He has scored in all but 3 weeks this year. So I think the Chargers do score against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's going to have to throw more than they want to. I don't think that means throwing to Jaylen Warren. So I think DK actually gets a lot more targets this week. When I say a lot for DK, not 4 like he had last week. I think he gets more in that 7 to 9 range, meaning he gets somewhere from 5 to 7 catches. And if you give DK 5 to 7 catches, I think at least one of them is a deep bomb, and hopefully for a touchdown. So I actually like DK in any predicted to be high-scoring game. It is only a 45-point over-under, so it's not a crazy high-scoring game. I'd actually take the over in this game because I think the Steelers might be able to do something. So, yeah, so there's my take on DK. Tet versus New Orleans. He just can't score touchdowns. He had one game where he did score 2, but outside of that, he hasn't scored any touchdowns all year. Other than that, he's just solid. He seems to get you 4 to 5 catches, has a couple outlier weeks of 6, but, 4 to 5 catches, anywhere between, 40 to 70 yards. 40 to 70 yards. So he gets like 13 points pretty consistently. And then, you're hoping that he gets a touchdown. New Orleans has been just fine against the defense or against the pass. They are 15th for fantasy points. And it's not like the Saints are ever going to be in a high-scoring game, so I can't project him to score any touchdowns. Carolina, yes, they're better lately, but, I just don't see the Saints and the Panthers being some high-scoring game. The over-under is 39, and I'd probably take the under. So, yeah, not high hopes for Tet this week. Moving over to the other side, we do have Olave, Zay Flowers, and Nico Collins. So Olave, same kind of saying, even worse. Tet's probably a better receiver than Olave at this point. Oh, actually, I don't know about that. Olave is pretty good. But Tet's in a better scenario. Olave now has Tyler Shuck. Only last week was his first week with him. He got 4 targets. The only reason Olave was having a pretty good fantasy season was because he was getting 10-plus targets every week except 2. He was just voluming his way to 12 to 15 points every week, but he didn't get those targets last week, and Kamara might even not play. So, and then Rashid Shaheed just got traded. I just don't think their offense is going to move the ball. I guess you could take the opposite thought and say, well, that means he's going to get more targets. I don't know how many more targets he could get. So I am going to take him for more like a 12-point type of week. He's projected for almost 15. I'll take the under. Zay Flowers for Baltimore going up against Minnesota. Minnesota's defense has been great all year, but I don't think it matters with Lamar Jackson. He just kind of seems to figure it out no matter who he plays. I do like the game generally. The Ravens are favored by 4.5, which is a little surprising. That total's actually already been bet down to 3.5. So yeah, that's probably more where I would have put it. Like I said, the Ravens defense has not been great. So if JJ can get going, you could see some higher scoring game than expected, but the over-under's at 47, which is about average for the NFL. So, they should score. I think that Zay has a shot at a touchdown, but I just wouldn't bet on it. He doesn't seem to be great at scoring them. But, a 5 for 50 type of week isn't, at a line. AI hasn't projected for a lot more. They must be projecting a touchdown. They haven't projected at 17. Yeah, maybe a 5 for 70. I can get to 13. I think in order to get to that 17, he's got to score a touchdown. And right now, just as always, the tight ends are scoring the touchdowns or Derrick Henry. And I don't think that Minnesota gets out to such a huge lead against Baltimore that they're just going to feed the passing game rather than Henry. I think Henry gets some run here. So, yeah, I don't see him getting to 17 unless, anybody can score for the touchdown. All right, Nico. Gosh, I mean, the Texans are just bad. They cannot run the ball at all. Their offensive line is terrible. Their defense has been playing, fine. But what do you do if you're the defense going up against the Texans offense? I mean, the only thing I would do is try to shut down Nico. I don't care if Nick Chubb or Woody Marks is running the ball. And Christian Kirk in the slot or a bunch of rookies. I'm shifting all my coverage over to Nico. Now, to be fair, that hasn't really mattered. He has played hurt or was hurt the past 2 games and didn't have great games back this week, and he had 11 targets for 7 catches and 75 yards against Denver, who's a great defense. This week, we get Jacksonville. So Jacksonville's defense has definitely played better than I thought it would, but it's not like Jacksonville's riding any highs right now. So, they're a solid defense. Nico should have just his kind of normal weeks, which for Nico is anywhere from 15 to 20 points, and that's about where I'd put him at 17 or 18. I would actually pencil him in for 1 touchdown. So that would get him towards that 20-point range if he does get the touchdown. 2022. So I actually like Nico more than the projections of 16. So good for Nico. All right. So who am I taking here for the edge? Oof. Yeah, this is close. I'm going to give it to Chad, but there is some potential for a stack over there to really help Cooper out. Obviously, like every week with stacks, you got to watch those closely. So, all right, moving on. Oh, I made a huge mistake. I'm sorry. Forget Tyler Shuck. I didn't notice. Cooper has Bo Nix. There was some benching shenanigans. Bo Nix will be in his Superflex. Okay, well, now you got Bo Nix over Tyler Shuck. A definite advantage for Bo Nix against Vegas. So Bo Nix and Herbert versus DJ Moore and Justin Fields. Yeah, that's a big plus. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. So Bo Nix against Las Vegas Thursday night and Justin Herbert. I am not a Bo Nix fan, but he, runs enough that he is going to, get you 3, 4, 5 points on the ground, and he's, good for 200 to 250 a week. He's been under 200 actually about half the season. Ooh, yeah. But he's thrown a touchdown every week. I mean, he's pretty consistent. And then has these blow-up weeks here and there. I don't think Vegas is the blow-up week. So totally missed that. So not Tyler Shuck. I am taking Bo Nix and Herbert. So that's a big advantage for Cooper. All right, sorry about that. And for the receivers, I will go with Chad for the edge. Okay. Running back. On Cooper's side, we have James Cook and Woody Marks. James Cook has been phenomenal. He is good enough that they don't run the offense through Josh Allen anymore. It runs through James Cook. I mean, he is getting 20-plus carries every week. And he's getting, looks like on average, about 3 to 4 targets. He's just kind of doing everything for them. And in the last 2 weeks, he's had 216 yards and 114 yards. He has had 100 yards or more in all but 3 games this year, and he is scoring a ton of touchdowns. He has a touchdown every week except last week, and has a couple. No, that's not true. That's not true. I'm sorry. He's missed 3 weeks with touchdowns, so he has 6 of 9 weeks with touchdowns, 2 games with multiple touchdowns. So, I mean, he's just been great. And this week they get Miami. Miami's run defense is terrible. The last time he saw Miami, he got 20 points. There's no reason he can't do that again. Miami's defense just cannot stop the run. All Buffalo wants to do is run the ball. He should get to 20 points this week. And earlier, like I said about the Texans, I just don't care about Woody Marks or anyone in their running game. I mean, you could put Barry Sanders back there. That offensive line is so bad, I don't think it would matter. So could Woody Marks, fall into the end zone for a touchdown? I don't know, maybe. But they're playing the Jags. The Jags defense has been pretty solid. I think if you get 10 points out of Marks, you got to be happy. I actually would probably take the under on that. So, yeah, not a lot going on there, where Chad gets Mr. Devon Achane. So you got the 2 running backs going up against each other. Achane has been great. He doesn't get the offense ran through him like Cooks does, but he does get a lot of targets. And last week he actually got his season high in targets, or tied a season high for 10 targets. So, he's walking out the gate every week with 8 to 9 points just in receiving, and maybe more. He's had weeks with week 2 alone, he had 23 receiving points. So, I mean, yeah, he's walking out the door with 8 to 9 easy every week, and then he's still getting 60 yards, 50 yards on the ground. So it is kind of walking into it doing just subpar day is gonna walk in with 13 to 14 points. And I mean, he's only scored that little in 1 game. His lowest score outside of that has been 16. So I mean, he's there. It's just you got to get him a couple touchdowns. And against Buffalo, while their offense might be scary, their defense has not been. So I would guess that you can count on Achane to be pretty close to Cook. Because I think we'll be playing from behind. That should mean Achane should get close to those 10 targets. So I will take that to pretty much wash Cooks out. And then Chad gets Ramondre Stevenson, who didn't play last week and is questionable this week. Ramondre would play Tampa if he plays, which would be great because Tampa's been a great matchup. I think he's going to play because I think they're questionable this week. If he doesn't play, Chad's in trouble. I mean, he's going to have to drop Kirk Cousins or Godwin to get somebody to start. He just doesn't have another running back on his roster. Oh, no, what I'm talking about. Yes, he does. He's got Jamar Gibbs in his flex. This is what happened. Sorry, guys. This is what happened when I record on Tuesday and people haven't set their starters. Yeah, he'd still have to drop someone because Godwin probably isn't playing this week and Kirk Cousins definitely isn't playing someone this week. So, yeah, if Ramondre Stevenson doesn't play, Chad is going to have to get a waiver wire guy. But it looks like he almost played last week, so we will assume he plays. He gets Tampa. Travion looked fine last week, but I don't know. I don't know why they're not playing him. Ramondre's just been okay. He started off the year getting some work, and that's kind of, continued. I mean, he has weeks with, 7 to 15 kind of carries. He gets a couple catches a game. So I think he kind of walks into 14 or 15 points. If he gets a touchdown, that's what Chad's really hoping for here, which is possible, again, against Tampa. But I don't think so. Tampa's slowing down a little bit. Their receivers just, are not doing them any favors being injured. So I think this Pats defense can slow them down with Christian Gonzalez back, and Ramondre doesn't end up getting that much work in the passing game. But I don't think he's salting away the game either, so it should be a close one. So I will definitely take Devon Achane, and Gibbs, I guess. Let's do that. So let's include include the flex here. On Chad's side, he has Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, should be in his running back spot. Jahmyr Gibbs, 20 points is like a lock almost every week. I mean, I guess technically 19, 17 or whatever. He has 1 week with 37 points. So this week he gets Washington, and God, Washington looks like they are in shambles. I just don't think they're going to need to score. But it is the highest over-under on the week. They do project a 49.5 point over-under, which is the highest on the week. So favored by 8.5. It looks like it opened at 9.5. So they're projected to score almost 30 points. So they should have a good week. So I would think that Jahmyr Gibbs kind of walks into 18 to 20, which is what he pretty much averages. So we got a 20-point, a 10-point for Stevenson, or 10 or 12 for Stevenson, hoping for a touchdown. Devon Achane for 20, matched up with James Cook, Woody Marks, and right now Cooper's flex is Alec Pierce. Yeah, that's all he has. Ortez Johnson. Yeah. Maybe Kyle Monangai Maybe Kyle Monangai. I mean, tough call there, Cooper. If it's Kyle Monangai and Swift isn't playing against the Giants, that would probably be a better start than Alec Pierce. He does get Atlanta. Pierce is just unpredictable. Yes, he had a good game last week. He had 13 targets. That's not going to happen again. That was definitely a season high. He has 5 games with 5 targets or less. So I can't imagine that happens again. So I would probably start Monangai, especially if Swift isn't starting. Right now, Monangai is only projected for 8 points, so it looks like they are expecting Swift to come back. The Giants, though, at second. Second for points allowed for running backs. So, yeah. Cooper's hoping for Swift to be out. It'd be a huge boost for him, I think. But right now, whether it's Monangai or Alec Pierce, it's still a big advantage for Chad. James Cook might balance out with Devon Achane, and even if Devon Achane has a bad week, take a couple of Ramondre's points. It's still Marks balancing out, and then you still got Gibbs to contend with. So, yeah, a big advantage there for Chad. All right, so that's kind of the tail of the tape. Oh, and we do have the tight ends. I'm sorry. So tight ends, like I said, I don't never spend a lot of time here, but Cooper does have Loveland getting New York. New York's been not great on defense, but because you can run on them, they just have not given up much to tight ends this year. But Loveland is coming off a 30-point game. I mean, maybe Chicago came out of their bye week and figured something out. It's possible. I don't know why that would happen this week against a team that's allowing a bunch of rushing. And I don't see the Giants injured scoring a bunch of points and forcing Chicago to pass. So, yeah. However, Dalton Kincaid in for Travis Kelce. Dalton Kincaid has been a roller coaster this year, having 4 games with 10 points or less. One of those games was a big fat 0. And then he also has 4 games with 15 points or more. So he's kind of all or nothing. And there was one week he had 1 catch for 1 touchdown. So he's kind of all or nothing, considering that I think this team runs the ball against Miami successfully. I don't see him getting more than a 4 for 40 or something like that, and maybe ending up with 8 points. I think Cook or Allen runs in all the touchdowns. So, call these a wash. I'll give it to Kincaid with some potential upside for a touchdown there, because the Giants, it's just as bad as Miami or worse at running. So I think that Kincaid has a better shot at scoring a touchdown. So that's it. there's the preview. So who's going to win? Well, according to AI, it is the life of the show guy by 2 points, or should be by a few points after he gets his kicker in. And I'm going to agree with it. It should be a close game, but I still am going to take Chad despite having half of his team on the damn bench. Chad just having a fantastic year. All right, with that said, Chad, play your music. Play me out. All hail the potential champion.
We the jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. Alan hit me on my phone. He said I need